On the frozen morning of January 28, 1986, the Space Shuttle Challenger sat on a launch pad surrounded by ice. NASA launched mission STS-51L. Just 73 seconds into the flight, the vehicle broke apart, taking the lives of all 7 crew members aboard. The immediate cause of the destruction was mechanical. Rubber O-rings located in a joint of the right solid rocket booster failed to seal. The unusually cold conditions that morning hardened the rubber. Because the seals could not expand quickly enough, extremely hot combustion gases escaped through the side of the booster. The freezing weather triggered the physical failure, but the vulnerability of these seals was already documented. Evidence of O-ring erosion and thermal distress had appeared on previous shuttle flights. A historical pattern of seal problems existed in the agency's records. The night before the launch, engineers at Morton Thiokol, the contractor responsible for the boosters, explicitly raised concerns about the cold temperatures and initially recommended against launching. NASA possessed the flight history, the weather forecast, and the engineering objections. The disaster resulted from a human inability to synthesize and act upon the information already possessed. If NASA had a modern AI engineering assistant in 1986, it would have processed those exact same records. An AI system in this scenario does not predict the future. It operates by forcing humans to confront the evidence they already hold. A space agency generates massive volumes of information: engineering memos, booster inspection reports, test data, and launch constraints. Humans naturally compartmentalize this data. An AI assistant instantly collates these separate files, scanning for unseen mathematical correlations between environmental factors and hardware performance. This chart plots historical O-ring thermal distress against ambient launch temperatures. In 20 previous flights at 66 degrees or higher, only 3 incidents occurred. By contrast, all 4 flights launched at 63 degrees or below experienced O-ring damage. Challenger's predicted launch temperature was 36 degrees. The AI would instantly flag that this environment was entirely outside the range of any previous successful operational experience. The system would issue a specific alert: existing evidence is insufficient to demonstrate safe sealing performance at this extreme, untested temperature. By synthesizing disconnected data points, an AI shifts the organizational burden of proof. The agency can no longer assume a launch is safe. The data proves they lack the evidence to justify it. Organizations facing complex engineering challenges often fall victim to the normalization of deviance. When a component behaves abnormally, like an O-ring eroding, but the mission survives, human teams slowly begin to accept that abnormal condition as a tolerable risk. Physicist Richard Feynman argued during the accident investigation that evidence of erosion should have been treated as a warning of a flawed design, rather than proof that the shuttle could safely tolerate erosion. An AI system does not possess human psychology. It does not grow comfortable with an anomaly simply because disaster was temporarily avoided on a previous mission. It continuously checks actual flight performance strictly against the original intended engineering design specifications. If the design dictates that O-rings should not erode, the AI registers every instance of erosion as a critical failure, refusing to let repeated luck masquerade as engineering proof. The final breakdown occurred during a midnight teleconference, just hours before liftoff. Engineers presented their data and recommended halting the launch. Under intense schedule pressure, contractor management eventually reversed that recommendation. The Rogers Commission later found that some key decision-makers were unaware of the O-ring history, or that the engineers still strongly opposed the launch. An AI monitoring the organizational workflow detects this exact disconnect: an unresolved concern about a critical component, overridden by management without new physical evidence. It generates an automated flag, escalating an unresolved safety disagreement directly to upper leadership. Operating as a bureaucratic failsafe, it makes it structurally impossible for vital technical objections to quietly disappear inside telephone calls and management structures. Artificial intelligence is not infallible. Its analysis is bound by the completeness of recorded data, and human beings possess the capacity to ignore its warnings. An automated system would not have the authority to unilaterally cancel a mission. The responsibility for interpreting evidence and making final life or death decisions must always remain with human managers and engineers. The immense processing power of artificial intelligence forces those decision-makers to operate with a complete, unvarnished picture of their own data. the Challenger disaster remains an optimal historical test case because all the information required to halt the launch existed on record before the accident. AI's true value in high-risk engineering is perfect retention and correlation. It connects what an organization already knows. As the final countdown approached on January 28th, the physical evidence of compromised seals sat waiting in the agency's archives. An AI system wouldn't have needed to predict the future. It simply needed to make the existing evidence impossible for leadership to overlook. Could AI have stopped the launch?